Hey guys, this is Dr. John Michael Salvato, or as I'm known in Buddhist circles, Kempo Guru Darshanyatananda, and welcome to another installment of Inner Alchemy, the program where we talk about the science of successful living. And tonight, I'm very excited because this is a bit of a homecoming with two people who have been a part of my life for over 26 years. Actually, probably a little bit longer than that, actually, and who are involved in some remarkable work that I think many of you are going to want to check out, especially if you live in the South Florida area. But I'll tell you that there's reasons that you're going to want to watch the show regardless of where you are around the world. Just a couple quick pieces of housekeeping. If you want to jump in and join the conversation, we welcome you to do so. You can do that by clicking on the open seat down below us. And if you've got questions you want to ask, either ask them there or ask them in the text area, and we'll be happy to entertain any questions that you've got. And we'll keep an eye on that question bar and get to those questions as soon as possible. What I want to do right now is without spending any further time talking about why I'm excited, I want to introduce you to the reasons why I'm excited, and that's to introduce you to Paul Trocola and Robert Ray. They're an incredible team of healers who are the co-owners of the Center for Inner Wisdom located in Oakland Park, Florida, where classes are offered every single week by a staff of extraordinary teachers from within the spiritual network in South Florida. Paul Trocola is a master medium with more than 40 years experience who brings hope and healing through his many gifts of clairvoyance as a gifted healer who sees, hears, and senses spirits in a way that want to connect to his clients in a way that's very rare, placing him in the top 10% of clairvoyant practitioners, because he actually, this sense of sight is often accompanied by the sense of smell and taste. So he not only sees and hears this connection, but he smells and tastes this connection. So it puts him in the top 10% of clairvoyance. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about how Paul's gift allows fear of death to be alleviated. And a renewed belief in eternal life, and we're going to talk about his ability to tap into the Akashic Record, as did the great Edgar Cayce, though not in a trance, and we'll find out how that works. And with us as well is Robert Ray, who's a published author and international teacher of healing on many levels. Robert's got shamanic roots that go deep, and is the founder of the 0 Point Educational Systems. As an intuitive healer, Robert embodies that sacred gifts can bring peace and healing on a physical, emotional, and spiritual level, can share with you guys exactly how to clear those things from your experience that might be holding you back from coming into a greater contact, a greater experience, a greater unfolding of yourself. The Center for Inner Wisdom holds frequent classes on emotional healing that bring wisdom and joy to many people. We're going to talk about those classes. We're going to talk about something I'm very interested in hearing about, and that is 0 Point harmonic healing, or harmonic balancing, if you will. So let's just jump right in. And first, let me just say it's great to see you guys on camera. It's great to connect. We're not really sure, so there's a little experiment that's going on right now. We've often found that if you're in need of healing in your life, you're in need of psychic healing, that sometimes words in the background might appear backwards. You might appear to have momentary dyslexia. So I don't know. We weren't sure, just so because maybe those letters are frontwise, and I don't want people to think they don't need healing. When the guys were doing the backdrop for their in their classroom there, they wrote Center for Inner Wisdom backwards, and we're not sure whether when this goes live or gets broadcast on the end users stations, whether it flips it back around. So I said I'm going to find a spin for that, because that's what I do. But Robert and Paul, thank you so much for being here. Let's just start by both of you guys, and jump in however you want to do it. Tell us a little bit about your story. Tell us a little bit more about how guys who've been together in as life partners, spouses, and business partners on so many different levels, come to a point where you're opening up a center for inner wisdom, not in your 20s. You're at a point where a lot of people would be saying, I've done it all, I'm going to go hang out on the beach, and your work is just getting started. Tell us about that.
Well, First of all, I think we opened this center because we finally learned how to live together in peace. We have been together for 43 years at the time of this broadcast, and it will soon be 44 come February. We came together at the age of 19, and we're still together. We have a very loving, fulfilling relationship. It's beautiful.
Right on.
And we have extraordinary gifts and talents in different areas, so we complement each other in an extraordinary way. Now, I'm going to probably always revert to calling you John Michael during this broadcast.
Good. We're trying to get away from Guru Das.
Okay. I remember that you were here with us when I began to channel the information for what became my basic premise, return to 0 point.
Absolutely.
You were here. You were part of it. You experienced my amazement and my wonder. It goes on. It gets deeper all the time. When I teach each class, I still channel. And this past Tuesday, we had an incredible class where at the very end, many healing spirits came from the spirit world to join us for an extraordinary healing of everybody in this class. I started seeing shadows all around me. And it's a good thing I'm used to them.
Tell me, for somebody, some of our viewers may be skeptics. Some of our viewers may not embrace a God concept. They may not embrace that kind of personalization of spirit or of divine love or light or whatever you want to call it. So help us to understand what channeling is for the skeptic.
First, it requires an understanding. The entire universe happens within us. I refer people lovingly to a movie, The Matrix, where in the first 30 minutes, Keanu Reeves, who was a person working in a cubicle in a high-rise office building, finds himself awakening for the first time, where he is in a pod with quasi-amniotic fluid feeding his body. He's hooked up to tubes, and his entire experience of human life is happening within him and unfolding. It isn't too far from the truth. That was that screenwriter's inspiration and vision. That was how he chose to convey it. But the truth of the matter is that at the moment of the death of a star, the elements moved outward and became the foundational roots for human life. That dying star found a new way to perpetuate itself in the form of a living, breathing human being. So I remind myself daily that I'm as ancient as the universe and as new as a newborn babe. And I am everything in between. The world, the existence of all exists within me. And that is why the work that I teach actually works for the people I teach it to. Because it is all within me. So they don't have the need to believe in a God concept. They don't have the need to believe in a spirit concept. It's not essential to the practice. They just have to believe in themselves and believe that within them is a higher self. That place where inspiration takes place. The inner spirit of the human being. It is a magnanimous, wonderful journey inward.
So help. God, I'm sorry.
The first one in written history that we can really reflect upon who took that journey was Siddhartha himself.
And so what you're telling me is that this work that you do, the person doesn't have to believe that this work is going to work. They don't have to believe in spirit contact or channeling, because not because it doesn't matter what they believe, but because the work is actually being done within yourself. And as a result, help us to understand what happens if you work on yourself. How does that change them?
Because as I am healing my emotions, my entire presentation and the way my mind unfolds shifts. As I shift, the person, place, or thing that I'm having difficulty with also shifts. It keeps equal time. It may not happen at the same instant. It may take a day, 2 days, or 2 weeks.
So you're the ripple that changes the ocean.
Exactly. Because if you look at it in that context, you get a beautiful analogy there. As I throw a stone into a serene pond, it creates a ripple effect. And as those ripples move outward, they become waves. I am the change that is needed in the world. I cannot change the world. I can only change myself. But that's the only thing that needs to change.
Right on. Now, you've written a book about that, right?
My book is Return to 0.2.
Have you got a copy? I can't flash it on the screen because you don't have a copy.
Since I didn't go home and I'm doing this live from the center, I didn't have a chance to get a book and bring it with me.
Well, we'll make sure that we get a copy of that spliced into the video at the end. So guys, just stay tuned, and we're going to talk more about that. Let's go to Paulie for a second and tell us a little bit, Paulie, about how this journey really unfolded for you. I mean, I can say that in the 26, 27 years that I've known both of you guys, that Robert going in this direction wasn't surprising. For me, because we've always kind of been, in working in that capacity in many ways together. But you were always the one who was doing equally impressive work quietly, kind of like the Martha and Mary. You were in the back, and nobody was paying attention. And now I'm so excited to see that you've come to the forefront, and that both of your voices are now going to be heard, because of what that means for humanity, what that means for society as a whole. Tell us about that journey.
Well, I'm going to tell you about my story of when it first started. I was 15 years old, and I was visiting a friend of mine. And she had an older sister who used to read cards. So we're sitting around, we're talking, and she says, "Let me read your cards." So she started to read my cards, and you do those things for fun. All of a sudden, 2 spirits appeared, and I'm seeing them standing in the corner. There's a short woman with a blue dress and her hair pinned up, and she's having a discussion with a tall 6-foot guy in a police uniform. And they're playing out this little show. And after it was over, I saw like somebody took a black magic marker and wrote the letters M-E. So I said to the girl who was playing around with the cards, I said, "I have to ask you a question, because I just saw something like really strange. And at 15, that's really strange." I said, "I saw this woman and I saw this gentleman, and they described how they looked." And she said, "Well, my grandmother was buried in a light blue dress, and her son was a policeman, but they always were in conflict. And her name was Mary Ezzo." So that's where the M-E came in. So what does a 15-year-old do but runs for their life? I mean, I was terrified and swore I would never do this again. But, we're all gifted with the same gifts. We can all accomplish these things because we're all born with it. You just need to be trained and taught and led in the right direction to develop them. So there was always this little prompting from the spirit world, "I want you to try this. I want you to try that. I want you to try." And I would experiment here and there with little things. And I started to read regular playing cards. I was with friends. We were playing cards. And all of a sudden, they turned into different images. The diamonds became money cards, and the hearts became love symbols, and spades became illness, and jobs, and clubs would travel, and all this stuff was happening, and I didn't really know why, because I wasn't trained in it. So I started to experiment with cards with friends, and especially for Robert here, when I read his cards, we were very, very young, early 19, 20 years old maybe, and they were so accurate. He said, "Please don't ever do that again." You know,
I refuse
you just can't know this
to
stuff.
have somebody know before me what I was going to do.
And nobody ever has ever since.
So there's always been that passion there, you know, for connecting to the spirit world and developing it. And I know that the main objective with this gift is to help other people, to make them feel better, to release blockages that create fears and create sadness, so that they can move forward and know that in the spirit world, they're very happy there. Because the only two things that exist there is truth and love. You know, they're always in joy. They're always in that great space. It's us that have all the other things like greed and anger and discontent and, you know, distrust. So that's really my goal. And that's the reason why I'm developing it to where it is today, because I really want to reach out to people and help change their lives.
Right on. So Robert, tell me how the center itself came to be, and then we want to talk about harmonic balancing and understand what that is that you guys are really. I take it that it's the main work that you're partnering on, from which everything else kind of stems. But how did this center come to be? Because your backgrounds in business have been working in the salon and beauty industry, where Paulie makes sure that women's hair is teased out bigger and better and bolder than ever before, so that they can never get it up and appear in a corner.
Embarrassing.
and you make sure that they never turn into those gray-haired old ladies. So how did you go from that experience of really, where I've seen you counseling people for 30, 40 years, because nobody's a bigger therapist or more intimate therapist in many ways than someone's hairdressers. And now you're taking this to a bigger audience. So the bald-headed guy can come to you, and the kid can come to you, and the whole family can come to you and experience this balancing. How did that center come to be? What was your inspiration, and when did you decide to run with it?
I longed for a place to call home, to teach from. I didn't quite ever see myself as owning the establishment. And I told my guides that they would have to find a home, and they would have to provide the wherewithal. I live a very modest life. It fell into our laps. Friends came to us and said, "Hey, how would you like to rent a room? Our church is going to move its main business building." That happens to be the Center for Spiritual Living, Dr. Bump.
Right.
They're moving from Wilton Manors to this location, but they had more space than they needed. And so they were going to lease out a suite of rooms. And we chose the large room in that suite. But then the other person who was going to take the other two rooms decided to back out. And they said, if you want them, you can have all three. And before we even thought, we said yes. It has turned out to become affordable. The expense is largely offset with the income from classes. We charge a very modest sum of $10 for a class, but we're getting numbers that are big enough to pretty well sustain us.
That's awesome. So you're in the same building with Arlene Bump and with the Center for Spiritual Living.
They're not even here yet.
That's awesome. Because you'll have to tell her that either next week or the following week, it may be the following week, or actually 2 weeks, because the following week then is the holidays. But one or possibly two of her friends, a good friend of mine, Dr. Terry Kananen, and possibly a mutual friend of ours, Robert Brzezinski, both from the Centers for Spiritual Living, are going to be our guest on one of the next shows. And Terry and I know Terry knows Arlene. We've spoken about her before, and about my time in Fort Lauderdale. So that's really, I didn't realize that either, and I don't want folks that are watching to think that that was kind of a leading question, and that I was trying to lead up to a plug for next week. These guys can tell you I had no idea that they were working with in such close proximity to future guests. I mean, tell me, guys, before we talk about harmonic balancing, let's talk. Do you believe or feel that at this time, humanity, that there's an increase in the vibrational frequency of the planet, of ourselves, of the consciousness, the mass consciousness itself, and do you think that that's one of the reasons why all of these pieces of the puzzle seem to be falling into your lap? Because you can't help but for those things to fall into your lap when you're open to moving forward and expanding.
Now, it goes like this. We're now formally in the age of Aquarius. They were making songs about it when we were children. And that age isn't dawning, it's here. We're at the beginning of it, and it's in a lengthy period of time. But we're also experiencing a planet that is changing rapidly. And I'm not just speaking about global warming. I'm not just speaking about pole shifting, but the vibrational patterns of Gaia, of Mother Earth, are changing. We are changing. Young children being born today are found to have more than a double helix DNA. We have 2 strands. There are children being born with 3, 4, and even up to 5 strands, and science is baffled. They don't know what to say about this. So they're not really saying anything. But there is still record of these things that can be found. Google it. It's interesting. It's an interesting read. The rest of us that have double-stranded DNA, we have to catch up. Those kids are already where they're supposed to be. We have to get to it. So the light workers of the world must quicken, must learn, and they must grow rapidly, because we have to serve the masses. We have to help people. We have to do the job of what's called leading people through their ascension process. People think that ascension is something that's bestowed. It's not bestowed. You work towards it. And that means squeezing out the ego, quickening the heart, opening up to love, demolishing or healing the fear within us, and coming to an understanding that I exist within you, you exist within me, together we're one.
So that's where 0-point harmonic healing enters the picture to begin this process of quickening.
0-point harmonic healing was something that began to happen immediately after we signed the lease for the center. I'm sitting quietly having a cup of coffee, and I hear a voice, and it identifies to me as a group of spirits speaking as one voice and dedicated to the charism, if you will, of Hermes Trismegistus. Now, Hermes is the mythological Greek god, as you and I would know, but a lot of people don't really know that. And why would a mythological god or avatar have a group of souls devoted to that image, that likeness? Well, Hermes was credited for being the seat of wisdom and of teaching, of communication, a herald, if you will. And there has been such an aftermath and convergence and confirmation that so many points covered in the information they shared with me, which became 0-point harmonic healing, and which Paul also took part in. He co-authored with me. I had pieces, he had pieces. We've had many, many confirmations coming from a variety of sources, almost accidental, but precisely what we needed to see at the moment we needed to see it. So 0-point harmonic healing, in essence, is where we treat the physical, emotional, and spiritual bodies within the auric field. It is outside of the human body. We connect these points of energy, the shoulders, the elbows, the hands, the hips, the knees, the feet, the fear points which reside above the kidney, the lack of joy that may be causing pancreatic illness. We attenuate all these things if the inner spirit of our client will allow us to see it. We see it represented in that auric field of the body. We join and link the points of energy with the 7 physical chakras. But they shared with us 5 additional chakras over the crown chakra at the top of the head, and 5 additional chakras from below the root chakra, which is in the perineum. And then we rebalance those chakras which are opened for the first time in humanity. We pair them with the physical chakras, and they begin to grow from that point. The procedure takes about a full hour. Paul and I enjoy doing it together because he has vision and sight for certain things. I have vision and sight for other things. People that get this treatment go through incredible changes. There are many centers here in South Florida that exist for spiritual, non-religious education. Owners of other centers come to us for this treatment. They're very supportive, very interested, and they find the treatment very effective. It changes lives.
I'm sure.
I want to add something to that too, John Michael. We also opened their Akashic Records prior to doing a treatment on them, which is really very beneficial because what it can do, well, you're familiar with the Akashic Records.
I was going to say, many of our viewers, turn the volume down a little bit on that because I'm echoing really bad on the show. So many of our viewers might not know what the Akasha are. So would you tell us, explain that first before you explain how you tap into that?
Yes. Okay. The Akashic Records is a storage facility of all the experiences, feelings, and emotions and experiences that have taken place from today backward to the beginning of our creation. So all the information of all of our lifetimes are stored there. Okay, they are guarded and guided by the lords of the records, which are very highly elevated angelic spirits that just protect the information. So what we do is we ask the client for their full legal name, okay, as it would appear on a passport, a legal document. And we ask their soul permission to enter into their Akashic Records. Once we do that and we get permission to do so, when we do the healing session on the client, we get a lot of information that has a connection from a past life ailment to the current day ailments. So they may be suffering from an injury in a past life where they have broken their back. Okay, and in this lifetime, they still suffer with back pain. So when we find that merging and that connection there, we can work on balancing the energy from that past life experience. So that way they can heal themselves here.
That's amazing.
Man,
That's awesome.
It's incredible stuff.
I'm so fascinated just by the concept alone of the 5 additional chakras above the head. I mean, when you're saying that, and I'm picturing the Kabbalah and how those additional chakras above the head could really expand on that tree of life. But then when you take it down below, further than the root chakra, suddenly we're starting to see, I think, sacred geometry. I mean, I actually can't wait until we hang up so that I can map this out and see the whole sacred geometry there. Does that play a role in some of what you guys are doing? Because obviously, if you're tapping into the Akashic record, the Akashic record is imprinted in sacred geometry, and it's the evidence has been there around us forever. Like you said, we all have the gift. We just haven't awoken it. We haven't learned how to use it. And you guys have awoken that gift. And so tell me how that plays in, because we're talking about harmonic balancing, and it would seem to me that vibrational sound and then the visual image, the visual representation of that vibration, which is sacred geometry, would seem to play a role. So this is kind of like a step beyond Reiki. Or am I missing the point?
No, it actually, in a sense, it is. This is a process that can be maintained or tuned up, if you will, through Reiki. But Reiki can't achieve what it does because Reiki only attenuates the 7 chakras of the physical body, and it doesn't do that with respect to energy points in the physical body. It just addresses the inflow and the outflow of the
and it only addresses the present lifetime too. So they're not actually digging deeper and going back further.
I actually am not schooled in the mechanics of Reiki. I have never studied Reiki, which makes this even much more incredible when you view the fact that I had no education in Reiki. I'd received treatments, but never really understood what was being done, nor did I care, by the way. And here I am dictating something in short order that has become monumental. I have a number of clients. One of a young woman who was from Eastern Europe. She was sold into sexual slavery shortly after she was kidnapped in Europe. She had so many demons in her life to fight, and she is spiritual, non-religious spiritual. She's used many modalities, nothing ever brought her through it. This brought her through it. This brought her through it, and for the first time in many years, she's able to use her real name, her given name.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
She's hid from that for 15 years, and now she's using it again.
Right on. That strikes such a chord for me personally, and you know, I if you don't mind my saying. You said that you wanted to be really transparent here, and I think that folks who are thinking about this need to know that you know, when we're talking about very sensitive issues like sexual abuse, when we're talking about issues like you know, personal violence, you're not coming from a place of inexperience or just random conjecture. You understand that pain deeply and have used these techniques to bring about healing in your life. If you don't, I mean, if I'm not overstepping and opening old wounds, I think your witness is a powerful witness.
I'm going to tell you, I was raped by a man in a police uniform at the age of 5. I became separated from my family. I was lost. I was scared. I was found by a police officer. He said, you took my hand, and he said, "You come with me. We'll find your mommy." And he led me into a closet, And that was my first formal moment of dissociation. Post-traumatic stress disorder and dissociative disorder ruled my life for the next 50 years. I don't have to tell you. I know who I'm talking to. You're my friend and my brother in so many ways. You and I share many experiences, including that one. And I am at a point now where I've healed those emotions so well and then had insight as to why I had to experience that rape at the age of 5. And let me backdrop here one major fact of what I teach in the Return to Zero Point program, which largely falls upon Ho'oponopono. I must accept personal responsibility for everything that happens to me. If the universe happens within me and everything that I endure or encounter takes place within me, then I had to draw that rape to me, or I had to create that rape within me. Well, it was my one weak point. How could a 5-year-old know anything to create that? And when I was having a spiritual treatment, I had a spontaneous past life recall. I was not seeking a past life recall. It just happened on its own. And I was walking down a street in a village, and I saw huts with women working in front of the huts. Some were cleaning vegetables, some were cooking food, some were dyeing fabric or yarn, and others were making fabric out of that yarn. I was in Africa. I'm walking, I'm seeing little children playing in the community where they were within eyeshot of their mothers. I saw no men. And I started to look to my side, and the person walking with me identified themselves to me as my spirit guide. And then I saw a woman walking towards me. She was very downtrodden. And my spirit guide said to me, "She was you." And instantly, I felt her thoughts. I felt her feelings. She was so broken. She was jealous. She was lonely. She saw her family and her friends marrying, taking husbands. And she was alone. So she began to sexually entice their men. And the men stopped waiting for her to offer herself, and they just started taking her. Her family disowned her. The women of the village disowned her. She became the social outcast. She chose to commit suicide. I felt her make the decision. And that's where my experience ended. But I understood that I had a karmic debt. I had to experience that again in this lifetime. And I drew and chose to take that experience from among the people where it began. You see, my aggressor was black. At this point in my life, I look upon my aggressor with mercy and appreciation, because another spirit entered a physical life willing to share their brokenness with me to help me fulfill a debt to create balance within me once again. And the day I learned the things I know and were able to heal my emotions, well, it's like I say, wisdom seeking negates karmic debt. It all wiped away. It all went away. Everything balanced. I found mercy and I found love for my aggressor. And when these eyes in this physical body close, that is the first person that I wish to see, to thank for the sacrifice he made to live that brokenness, to bring me to where I am.
That's really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And I felt like people needed to understand that that this was coming from a very deep place, that this isn't, you didn't just wake up one morning and decide we're going to go open a healing center and we're going to do better than Reiki. This came from personal experience, because a lot of times on this show we talk about the fact that that I don't recommend anybody enter on any spiritual path based on what somebody's telling them, based on what somebody's purporting to be the truth. Your spiritual journey is about you experiencing your life, and that starts, as Robert said, with taking 100% responsibility for every experience, recognizing that every experience is either a reflection of something that you hold, a belief that you hold, a fear that you've experienced, a lack of forgiveness, or is a result of your current thought. And so our thoughts create our experiences, and if you want to change your experiences, you change your thinking. But that's a great foundation. But then change your thinking how, and that's what these gentlemen are doing, is they're bringing about and creating the causes for change to take place, so that all of the superficial bullshit, if you will, is moved away. That spiritual bullshit, that energetic bullshit, that all of that karmic baggage can be moved away so that you can have that experience. They're creating safe space. And when we're in safe space, that's where healing takes place. When we're in safe space, we're in the moment. So we could talk for another 45 minutes, and I wouldn't have enough of hearing what's going on. And we'll definitely have to have you guys back again. But take these last 10 minutes or so and share with us anything that you feel, including how let's save the last 5 minutes. So that we can tell people how they can get in touch with you. And I want to make sure that we've got that, in the video itself, so that folks who are waiting for the post-production can still get this information on how to get in touch with you. But tell us what kind of classes you're doing. Do you ever do anything that's online so that people who are outside the local area can tap in and maybe get a connection with you guys?
We're going to try to achieve that soon.
Cool.
We haven't done it yet. It's been a rapid journey to get this place equipped, established, functional, to get a faculty, so to speak. And it's growing rapidly. Everybody that comes in this place to teach is vetted. And they're vetted by the sum total of all the teachers that are already here before them. They have to offer a process that has value to it. It has to be affordable. And it can't detract someone from a life mission. I don't want to infuse any beliefs on someone that are outside the realm of possibility for them. And that would be cruel. This is not a university. It's a school of wisdom, inner wisdom. We want to help people wake up and find their inner peace. As they find their inner peace, they blossom into love. As they blossom into love, they begin to change the shape of the world. I have methods that I have used on a person-to-person basis. I've calmed myself. I've calmed relationships. But we calm community and we can calm global affairs. That's a topic for another show, because I've had big impact on Israel.
Right on. Well, and so are you saying you'll be on another show?
Oh, come on.
Okay. Well, tell us. We've got to. I want to thank you both, first of all. Any time you want to be on, let us know. This show is usually on Friday nights, not on Thursday nights. And this week we just kind of changed the schedule all around. Because we like to keep people thinking, and we like to just stay in the moment, and that's what it's all about for us. So there are sometimes we decide that the show. I'm sorry.
That's what it's about for everyone. There is nothing but the moment.
So when you guys want to be on, we're here, and we always tell our guests that and as well as the viewers, jump in, because this is not the John Michael show or the Guru Das show. This is your show, and I just have the privilege of sitting in the first seat that shows up in the theater, and it's everybody else that's outside of this box that makes this happen, and it brings the value. You know, I have the best seat in the house because I get to actually ask the questions, learn the stories, you know, hear the testimonials from people. You know, if there's anybody there in your location who wants to jump on the camera for a few minutes and tell a little bit about what this journey has meant for them, we would love to hear from them, because we're also not sticklers for time.
I'm going to turn it around so you can see them, and there's a couple of people here, you know, so you can say hello. But I think we're all so tired at this point in time, we're getting lulled to sleep. So I'm going to turn this around, and you say hello to each other.
Hey guys, how are you? Good to see you. Nice to good to see all you guys, and hopefully I'll be down there in the next 4 or 5 weeks on other business, and I'll look forward to giving you guys a hug in person.
That'd be great. Our faithful world.
That's awesome.
Help us bring the message to the world.
That's so awesome, guys. You know, folks who are watching this on the replay and the rebroadcast, know that I will put information up at the end of this video on how you can get a hold of Robert's book, how you can get in touch with the center. But I'm going to let these guys go ahead and give you the address, so I don't have to pull up the bio again and look for it. Give us the address and the phone number or website, anything you want to give us to be able to get in touch with you. Go ahead.
I didn't say anything.
No, I'm saying, yeah, give us the address. I'm putting you to sleep. Give us the address of the center.
I was really actually working on that screen. It's 4849 North Dixie Highway, Oakland Park, Florida. It's Bay 2 in that center.
And what is the phone number there?
954-696-6389. That is my direct cell phone number.
Excellent. And you know, folks, if you've got any questions, get in touch with these guys. You can we'll put more information on the post production version of this video. So you'll have an email address to get in touch with them, as well as the phone number, as well as the address. Share this with folks. We really encourage you to share this video with others so that we can spread the word about what these guests that we have on the program are doing. You know, and think about the fact that you know, at the holiday time, we often find ourselves looking for a gift for somebody who's hard to buy. And I can't think of a better gift than giving someone the gift of healing. So, you know, if you're looking for an opportunity to share a gift that will give long beyond the holiday season, get in touch with these guys and explore what your options are in that area as well. And if there's anything I can do and you guys are ready to take your show on the road to the internet information superhighway, you know that I will be happy to be there and help you get it done and point you in the right direction, connect you to all of the great resources that people have shared with me over the past couple of years.
My work keeps me technologically challenged.
Well, we can fix that. I do that every day now for
Thank
people.
You, my brother.
And I'm so grateful for you guys being on this show. This platform, by the way, the Blab has only been in existence for about 216 days. So you are one of the first shows. You know, that this, I believe this is going to be the next killer app, a huge platform, because we're moving beyond the 140 characters on Twitter and the little pictures of my you know, kitty and my lunch and everything else on Facebook. We're moving into a place where substance.
I wish substance, that was it. Get more of a political discord.
Yeah, right. You know, this is about substance, where people are actually making connections with other people, and not, it's, you know, where you know, Facebook has largely become, like you just said, a place where we're constantly drawing lines in the sand. You know, it's exciting for me to be part of a platform that's about bringing people together, and where people who, you know, people who, as we said in the beginning of this show, people who are non-theistic, who are theistic, who don't embrace a personal God, who do embrace a personal God, who are on a spiritual journey and recognize that this is about respecting others' spiritual journeys and then sharing from our experience. Because again, like Robert said, if somebody's in your experience and they're presenting you with something that's foreign, something that's contrary to your belief, something that strikes a nerve, that's not coming from outside yourself. That's a reflection of something inside you. That's an opportunity for you to grow and to actually unfold, to manifest your true self. And so I want to thank you guys. Go ahead, Robert, you're going to say something.
Thank you. I just realized that I never fully answered your questions. So let me go through this real quick. For those who are of Judeo-Christian background, we offer A Course in Miracles, but we have an interfaith minister, a female, who teaches that. We have a retired psychoanalyst here on the faculty. She teaches how to get into and read the Akashic Records. She has a worldwide program. We have Paul, who is going to be beginning a 12-week program on how to open your psychic gifts. This will be for anybody who is anywhere along the path, but when they're done with that education, they will know how to read like Nostradamus read. They will know how to read cards. They will know how to work with a pendulum, with dowsing rods, and how to connect to the spirit world, as well as do psychic readings. So it will be a very comprehensive education. And of course, together we teach harmonic healing, the 0-point harmonic healing. And of course, I teach the Return to 0 Point and Ho'oponopono program. So I got that question answered. I apologize.
Awesome. No problem. I was going to talk to you about it afterwards and just say, let's put it at the end. So there's a list of the classes that the people can tap into, and you'll get in touch, folks. We are now 5 minutes away from the top of the hour. So for probably the second time out of the 20 or 30 shows we've done, I am actually ending on time. So I thank you. I thank everybody that's there at the center. As your support and audience, folks that are watching on the rebroadcast, folks that are watching live on Twitter, thank you. And as always, we like to end this program and every program by encouraging you to stay in the moment, because that's where the power is. To be grateful for everything you've got, because if you can't be grateful for what you have now, what makes you think you're going to be any happier with more? And to always remember the best is yet to come. We'll talk soon. Good night, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Namaste.
Brother.
Love you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.